Yeah.
I don't see them on the list. Okay. I mean, the only thing we have on the commissioner's side is obviously we've been working back and forth with Lehighton Borough and some issues that they're having down there after the cleanup of the area down around Dunbar's, which was formerly known as Tent City. I know you've been seeing that in the papers. That's kind of where we've been concentrating our efforts. I do have a meeting, I think that's scheduled, and I'm going to be attending in Allentown with the mayor of Allentown in reference to homeless. I think we've all received an email along that line. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. I think it has.
No, I'm not.
I will forward you that information. I'm going to see if I can find it right now. So,
Yeah, I don't
Thank
think
you.
I've seen anything either.
okay, let me see if I can find it. But that's all I really have to report. I don't have any substantial other than what you've been reading in the newspapers. I know the Lehigh mayor has been very active.
It's becoming a huge problem from my understanding with the residents of Lehighton.
Yeah, and I think what everyone needs to understand in that is the county, and we go back on this, and I don't want to kind of, the county, we were basically told from Lehighton Borough, we were cited from Barry Isaac, telling us that that area needed to be cleaned up and that it could no longer exist. And that's why we had worked with Lehighton and come up with some solution as to how to get it cleaned up and taken care of. That's not always been to the liking of everyone else, but we were, you know, they're kind of trying to start clean up the areas that they have and find help. And you're reading that in the paper, and it was kind of hard for them to go out and begin to do that and allow it to continue to exist, you know, on county property.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I mean, my thought is, I mean, we can do some more outreach, but you know, I think the folks know where, you know, help is available. So we could talk about that a little later.
Yeah, and I think that's what the mayor's been trying to do, is let people know that there is help out there. Does it happen overnight? No, but there is help available. You just need to go there, and you got to be willing to accept that help, and you got to be willing to want the help. And there are those who wish to have help, and they definitely do. And then there's that element of those who, you know, do not.
Right.
And I don't think anyone on the board here or on the panel has a solution for that. I really, I wish I did, but I don't know how to reach that group.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one thing we're going to attempt to do at Family Promise is we're opening, knock on wood, cold weather shelter November 1st.
You are?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, in addition to our family and women's shelter, we're going to be opening a cold weather shelter. I'm thinking we can help at least 12 individuals at this point. And we'll keep the shelter open any days that the temperature drops below 32 degrees. They will have laundry and shower facilities there, a place to sleep, food, and case management.
Wow, that's awesome. Where will this be?
This will be at Family Promise,
In
our
Neshwahoney?
yes, our adjacent building, the Jury Family Center.
And how many, you said 12 individuals? Is it men, women, children, families?
It doesn't matter in the cool weather shelter. Right now in our women's and family shelter, we only accept families with children or single women. But we're inundated by phone calls from gentlemen and couples that they are sleeping in cars and on the street. So we're going to attempt to do this. And you know, partner with, Jamie, I'm putting you on the spot. Some drug and alcohol, um, substance abuse disorder to tie in with the opioid, um, issues. Um, and we'll also have, uh, action committee, maybe drop by, do some work with the folks if they need, assistance with rental assistance. So that's where,
And
that's our plan.
your target is to open November 1st
Yes.
and
With,
open all through the winter?
yes.
Wonderful. So it's not just emergency, it's not just when the weather's code blue.
Well, it's going to be weather dependent. So it's going to be, if the temperature is below 32 degrees.
Below 32. Is that with wind chill or not? Hasn't been decided.
If it says 32, I'll open the doors.
Okay. Okay. No, that's wonderful. We had not heard any news of that.
Well, it's brand new.
Okay. That's
So,
fantastic.
and your name is Grace, right?
I'm Grace. Yes.
Yes. Hello, Grace. I did receive your email. I'm sorry. I meant to get back to you. I was on vacation and I'm playing cat.
Absolutely. Vacations are the worst thing. You get overloaded with emails when you get back.
Right. But yeah, that's our plan. So we'll see how that works. We're taking a programmatic approach as we do in our regular shelter. So, any questions about the warming shelter?
Kathy, I'm new to your group. It's Mary Penny from the COC, but I just was on a meeting with folks in the Allentown area yesterday, and they're clearing out an encampment that's somewhere around 130 people. And the city is originally gave them like 2 weeks, and now they've given them about a 2-month window. But one thing they did is they worked with DCED, and they were able to open one of their cold weather shelters 2 months early, because so the folks in the encampment had someplace to go, and they got some extra funds. So I did hear something about when I jumped on the call that you guys were clearing an encampment. I don't know how many folks that are involved in that situation, but there might be, I don't know where they got the funds from, but they did get funds to open probably about 6 weeks early. They're opening October 1st, I believe. So I don't know if that's something you want to follow up on. We can hook you up with Brendan if you guys want to discuss a possibility there, if you have some folks that are,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Our biggest thing is we had folding cots, and I donated them to the cold weather station 2 years ago. And so I have to get some funding to actually get beds, but that's
Okay.
our biggest
Mary,
things.
sorry, I can't find my hand on the screen. But Mary, when the Lehigh Valley decided to do this, you said it was a cold weather shelter. They were opening it 2 months earlier. Again, is it only during cold weather, or did they open it daily?
I believe that
I don't know how that resolved the full problem.
I believe that they are going to have it temporarily open before it's not a cold blue shelter, it's a cold weather shelter that
Emergency-
opens for the entire winter
Okay,
season.
emergency shelter. Okay, yeah.
Right? So, but I know that we expect the encampment issue in the clearing, a second encampment in the Bethlehem area that was on the side of railroad tracks. The railroad company contacted Bethlehem City and said, you have to get these folks out of here. We're going to clear. And we know that railroad company has tracks that run through the entire COC, and we're kind of expecting them to work their way through the COC. So right now we're having talk to the boards and everybody, just looking at ways that we can do an encampment strategy and support and give local community support when this happens. So we're really getting a lot of lessons from the people in the Lehigh Valley. They are phenomenal. They have really collaborated, and 140 people is a lot of people,
That
is what the
certainly
total
is.
census was. And their numbers are running from 120 to 140, and they have a very short window to find something to move folks out of there. Um, so yeah, there's a lot going on.
I see there's a message there that Tammy believes it's the YMCA that is opening.
I believe so.
Okay, very interesting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just there's got to be a strategy because with the current federal, also on a federal level, we're seeing some things COC related that with our NOFO that there might be some sort of language, it hasn't been dropped yet, that would say, encampments, you can't let encampments happen in your community, or you have to agree to not let it happen. So we're not really sure what to expect there, but you have to find a way to support that if you're not going to allow it. So to support those folks to find help.
And we will do our best. I know when I said 12 people, that doesn't sound like a lot. Um, but I just don't want to warehouse people. So we're doing a I don't want to warehouse people. I want to use a programmatic approach so we can give these folks a hand up and a plan and the resources to prevent this from happening again. So, I mean, yeah, could I stack a bunch of people in there? I can, but realistically, I think that 12 would be the magic number to start. Although hey girl.
And Kathy, I think I hear what you're saying. I think 12 is 12 more than we have right now. The problem is we have a much bigger community that needs help, and how do we get that help? We've been working actively with the Lehighton Borough, talking with the mayor. I know there was talk on the homeless task force before about that the cold weather station in Lehighton really helped last year to get people off the streets and out of the encampments. But we're running into zoning problems now. So the cold weather station at this time will not operate in Lehighton this year. And so there's nowhere for those people to go.
Well,
So that's why I'm here, is just to say, the task force, I love that we have a task force in this community, but we have a huge issue. We're doing a day program in Lehighton. We've touched over 60 people who are living homeless in Lehighton. And yes, the encampment has been cleared, but the people are still here. And I don't know how to do this. We're a grassroots organization. We don't have political connections. We're running into zoning problems. We're told we can't use Ebenezer again. We're going to try, but we're told, it'll be at least probably a $5,000 to $6,000 investment for us to even get them to consider us using Ebenezer. And we may get turned down. We have to go for a change of use in the venue. So that's why I'm here, is just to say, what is the task force's mission, and what clout do you have to help? I'm so excited to hear Family Promise is doing this. I mean, that's awesome that you have this, but the need is so much bigger,
and I understand. I mean, I have to you know, a family well, I'm gonna jump. I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm stepping on your feet. I'll give our shelter report is we have 28 individuals in our shelter right now. We have 8 families. We have 123 households on our wait list. So that's where we're at. So it's time, space, and money are the big things. But I think our mission and the purpose of the task force is to try and come up, all of us, with solutions. And they're not fast acting solutions, unfortunately. I mean, again, I could probably fit 100 people into my church building. Can I serve 100 people and prevent them from going back on the streets, no, there's no way I could do that. So
And
it's
as
it's
not to interrupt, but go ahead, Cap.
no, I'm done. I
And
got
as I had said earlier here, the county faced the same, as you had said, zoning and concerns from Lehighton Borough. And that's how we had to address that area and then provide information as to where help may be available or is available. And as I said earlier, I do have a meeting here, and Kathy, I did forward you most of that information on October 9th, and it deals with veterans and all of that in Allentown, where we're going to go down and hear a presentation as to how other areas have tackled the same issue or similar issues that we have here. To give you an answer as to where the county and what the county can do, other than what we've done so far, and has that worked? In some areas, yes. In some areas, no. So hopefully by educating ourselves a little bit more here on the 9th of October, when I go down there, I can come back and report on things that we may or may not be able to do. But until I get some more information on that and how to push out from the homeless task force, I don't have an answer. I mean, that's just being, and Kathy's correct. It comes down to money.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna play any punches here right now. I mean, and I don't want to keep hammering on it because I do every week in the paper, but there is no money from the state coming. So right now in the county, looking at any type of investment, any type of help anywhere, we're just trying to figure out how to keep senior citizens getting their food and senior centers open and children and youth operating.
And Commissioner Stefarenko, I hear you and I appreciate all you're doing with that. I think the budget crisis is huge. I think what surprised us last year is that the residents of Carbon County are prepared to step up for this. I mean, the cold weather shelter in Lehighton was 100% volunteer run, 100% donation based last year. It was not perfect by any means, but I think the residents of Carbon County want to do this, but we don't have the clout to get a facility to do this.
I think in the fact that the mayor of Lehighton has said recently in the newspaper that he was looking for other boroughs
Yeah.
to take, and I'm still waiting to see how many other boroughs have contacted. I haven't heard from the mayor, but how many other boroughs have reached out to the mayor and said, hey, we'd like to be in Jim Thorpe this year, or we'd like to be in Nescahoning, or can we do Summit Hill?
But
I haven't heard.
can we as a task force pull the municipalities together and energize that effort? The mayor of Lehighton, when we met with him, it really, it comes across as he's saying effectively they're not Lehighton people, they're Carbon people. So Carbon needs to take care of them. And I understand his point. But
Well, okay. When you say Carbon, I mean, do they mean Carbon? Because I can tell you what happens is a lot of these, and let's just talk about encampment. Everyone tells, no matter where you're from, and let's be blunt here, they'll say, well, if you go down behind Dunbar's, there's a place you can stay. That's what anyone will tell anyone in the area. And I don't mean just the Carbon County area. Wayne and I were down there and we ran into 4 residents that were there from Hazelton, that their brothers and sisters were bringing stuff down to them. Am I correct, Wayne?
Yes.
So when you say it's a Carbon County issue, yes, it's a Carbon County issue, but I don't want to say this because they're human beings.
yeah,
But unfortunately, that area becomes an area where that's where we just put them.
yeah.
And that's okay, so then when you say it's a Carbon County issue, no, basically what's happened is other areas have used that area of Carbon County as a place to just put somebody, and that's not correct. That's not right. That's what needs to be addressed. So when you say, okay, if you want to address those in need in Carbon County, that's one thing. But if you want to address the whole geographic area as a place of need, that's another conversation. And that is one of the reasons why I am going to go down to Allentown on the 9th and hear what's going on there. Because I could tell you the truth. If there's somebody that's homeless and let's just take Walnutport. I would sit there at that day and say, well, I'll tell you what, we can probably get you up to Lehighton. You can stay up there around Dunbar's, or we could take you to Allentown. The reality of the situation is they're out of Walnutport. So when you do this whole sit down, it has to be a whole geographic area as to how does the area address it? Not just Carbon County, not just Lehighton. And I think that's what the mayor's trying to do. Like, and then it becomes to the stigma of who wants that type of facility, and let's call it the way it is, if you want to speak bluntly, who wants that type of a facility in their community and next to their home?
Mhm.
And that's the next problem. And then when you find a place, and like we had, cold weather shelter did give us an area out in the Mahoning Township area, then there becomes the transportation needs.
Mhm.
And I see Jamie Drake on here, and he will tell you we've been working extremely hard with Lanta to just get transportation for the needs that she has in her. And Jamie, that has been a struggle, try and get back and forth. And you know that we're still trying to get a training seminar. So then there becomes the transportation needs if it's out of sight, out of mind. And that's kind of what it comes to. And then that still becomes an issue. So there's more than just how do you address it? Like, okay, here's the open shelter. There's the effects throughout. And that's where I think,
Absolutely.
right. And we've all heard this before. So, I mean, I'm trying, and Wayne is trying, and that's why we're trying to get, how have other areas handled this and begun addressing it? And there's only so much there. But with that said, all of that said, that's still, everyone sitting here, that still doesn't, how do you help those who basically don't want the help?
Part of the problem too, back when this started over a year ago, we went down there, we talked to the people, we had other people from the homeless task force and that, people providing shelters. About the condition of the encampments and the garbage and the trash and everything. We went down there, we provided a dumpster. We said, yeah, okay, get us a dumpster, we'll clean up. We have volunteers that are gonna come in here, clean it up. 3-4 months later, they didn't even fill one dumpster. Nothing was done. So these people aren't even helping themselves. When they ask for it, they don't take advantage of it.
And commissioners, with all respect, when people are down and out and depressed and hopeless, it's hard for you to get up and pick up trash. I hear you, and it is a health and safety issue, but we can't just say, well, then what are we saying? Dig a hole and just let them fall into the hole and stay there? That'll get them out of our way.
I don't think we're saying any of that. The fact that there's 12, 15 people here on a monthly basis sitting down to discuss this issue and look for issues, I think speaks volumes of the fact that we are trying to do something. Now, I take exception to when people say nothing's getting done, because if nothing wasn't getting done, there wouldn't be 12 to 15 people every month sitting here trying to figure out how to get it done.
Yeah.
So,
Commissioner,
go ahead.
I'm Mary Penny. I don't know if I've introduced myself. I work for the Eastern PA Continuum of Care. If you're not familiar with the Continuum of Care, we represent 33 counties in Eastern Pennsylvania, and we apply every year for the HUD funding that applies for different programs to solve homelessness. I also am contracted to work with the COC through a firm, formerly known as Diana T. Myers and Associates. They just changed the name to Framework. I am not an expert on homelessness. I am a program person, but I work at a firm that have people every day that work nationally on homelessness issues. I can tell you that as a commissioner, you do so many things and need to have so many skills in so many different areas that you can't be an expert on everything. And I commend you for holding these meetings and tackling this issue. And I think you need to be a little bit kinder to yourself, because there's so many layers to this on a social level, on a drug and alcohol level, on a transportation level, you're not social workers. That's not your job. And it might be, I don't know your careers, but you're not social workers. So I think you need to give yourselves a little bit of a break and know that you're doing a great thing by having this meeting and having people together. I would recommend that you join the COC and become part of our group and get on our mailing list and hear what's going on throughout the areas around you, because there are a lot of things happening. And I think you'd get a lot of resources that could help you. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I'm happy to have hook you up with some folks that are far more expert on what's happening on a national and local level on funding. I know that there's funding that is available. There's right now, PHFA, just the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, you can yell at me for acronyms, just released the request for proposals for a fair grant, which is dedicated to housing. And I think that there are a lot of things that could be done. It's not a horrible grant to apply for. It doesn't require you to have any expertise in being a perfect grant writer. They're a very easy process. I would think that this group should maybe have a conversation about read that grant. I could share it after, look at ways maybe you could use it in your community to solve some problems. And I'm here to help
yeah.
and connect, provide connections. So if I can do anything, I'm happy to do that.
Mary,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Mary,
yes.
there's a Blue Ribbon Community Group out of Summit Hill, and they are definitely applying for that. They're actually meeting with PHFA, and they're going to be applying for those funds. And they're very organized. And I think the commissioners may be even very aware of that group and that organization, but they're very savvy right now, and they've got a lot of big players, and I think they're going to try to take a chunk out of that. So just as an FYI, and I
awesome.
think they're going to go for affordable housing.
That's awesome. But that money can also be used for emergency housing, helping the COC applies for that funding and receives $700,000 to do across the 33 counties, a landlord incentive fund to get landlords to consider taking people who have not perfect housing histories or have criminal histories or have evictions on their record. We've been using that successfully for the last year. We have contracted a consultant that has worked nationally to try to develop a landlord strategy to get more landlords to be willing to take people with and to possibly hire a staff person to help engage landlords and keep them for people with difficult histories. And I'm going to stop talking, but I think Kim was waving.
I just want to say that Carbon County does participate in the PHFA fair program. Regionally, we're a part of a regional operation that United Way of Pocono Mountain United Way goes for the funding. So we do utilize it for rent and security deposit and some other things, but again, very limited in size. And the amount of money that is sometimes required. We often partner our fair with some of our other funds just to help one family.
I always think when I think you guys, I think more Lehigh Valley, and I always forget it's the Pocono region that you're connected with, and I don't know why. My brain goes south; it doesn't go north.
Yeah, we're with the Pocono Rab.
But like I said, that grant, Lehigh Valley, the Pocono United Way does apply those funds. They also administer the COC landlord funds, but it doesn't. There's actually more funding this year. I can't tell you the amount that went into PHFA, the fair funds this year. I would suggest if anybody has any other ideas to read the grant and apply. It's not limited to so many applications per county. And as far as your county government, if you'd like to have a conversation about possible funding sources, I could try to pull some things together for you and talk to Lee Howard, who's the president of our firm, who is like an encyclopedia of things, and see if there's any way I can support you. And I'm going to stop talking and talking too much. So.
I would say this
Thank
as
you.
Carson County is, Mary, if you wish to make contact with our county administrator and get on a meeting here that you can sit down with both myself and Wayne, and we can hear a presentation from you, we would welcome that.
Okay, we'll work on that. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, I guess we'll move right along. Jana, do you want to give the report from Action Committee?
Sure. Since our last meeting, which was July 18th, we've had 62 phone calls for help. Some of it was for electric help. Some of it was for housing support. And of those 62, 14 were actually homeless on the street in their car, kind of homeless. We've accomplished 27 enrollments in that period, and we've had 15 referrals from 211 that I've been talking to the people back and forth on those. And right now, we're supplying case management services for 47 households. That's pretty much it. We're still being careful with our funding, trying to spread it out as best we can to serve as many people as we can.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
And I'd like to add that we've been fortunate that our board of directors has authorized us to continue to serve. It's on a limited basis, obviously not at the level as the rental assistance program that United Way was operating. But if it weren't for that, we wouldn't be helping anybody,
No.
either via prevention or rehousing of actual homeless. And I applaud our board for giving me that authority. It's with the understanding that for some reason, any of the programs that we're currently operating, if they don't end up in the budget or they end up reduced in the budget, this agency will eat what we're investing. But we believe in investing in the programs we have and continuing the services.
Great,
It's on a limited
thanks.
basis, but we're continuing to do it.
Hey, Rob, you're up.
How many?
Thanks. I had, maybe last month, we were up for a meeting at the United Way up in Monroe. So there was some conversation regarding landlord engagement. And we had the Housing Homeless Committee had a subcommittee had a meeting on August 28th, and we decided to try to get involved a landlord engagement meeting. We haven't set a date and a time yet, so that's to be determined, and we will try to get it out to the group as soon as possible when we have those factors and those dates and times coordinated.
Thanks, Rob. I don't want to put you on the spot. How about like the Section 8 vouchers? What is the wait for them?
I would
Correct.
say everything can be about, for Section 8, maybe about, I'm going to say probably about a year to year and a half.
Okay. I just because and this isn't against Carbon County Housing at all. Our experience here at Family Promise has been none of my residents, probably for the last year and a half, have not received a voucher from a Section 8 voucher from Carbon County. However, they apply to Schuylkill County and they're working. They apply to Schuylkill County, and Schuylkill County has a point system where they're given extra points, and they're moved to the top of the list, and they're usually getting a voucher within 3 to 4 months. And then they're moving to Schuylkill County. So we're losing hardworking people that are taxpayers. They're leaving the county too on that end. So that's kind of frustrating.
One of the interesting things, we just got some information from HUD with regards to our Nescahoning elderly program there. And the rents, as of October 1st, the efficiency will be $1,200 and the one bedrooms will be $1,400. So that gives you kind of the idea of how much rents are going for in the county. So that's one of the impediments that we all can
Right.
agree to.
And that's why it's important to get landlords engaged, because somebody making $35,000 a year with a few children, they're not going to make it with that kind of. Any questions for Rob or Jana? Does anyone else have anything they would like to bring up, talk about?
Yeah, this is Wayne, Notes 9. And I think, I don't see on the list here any of our state or federal representatives on this or involved in this homeless task force. And I certainly believe that they have to be involved because they control the funding to the counties and to all our organizations. So they're not even at the table. And I think we have to start at the top and get their support.
I've invited them, Commissioner Epstein. I can invite them to the next one again, maybe send them an email, or maybe you would like to try and engage them.
Well, yeah, the state rep, state senator, as well as our federal partners, our congressmen, state senators. I would like to see them have representation here. I understand they are busy. They're in session. They can't always be here, but they should participate when they can, even if it's virtual like this.
I agree. I agree.
I
Is
think your other
anyone-
biggest problem is, the people that don't want to help. We have the services and how do you change their mindset that to make them want to improve their lives? It seems to me like none of them want to make anything of themselves or really care about their own self. No self-respect, the conditions they live in. I think we have how do you convince them that to get into these programs and get out of those conditions?
Well, that's the $1,000,000 question. I think a
Can
lot
I
of
say
it
something,
is,
Kathy?
sure.
So, I mean, one thing that I've noticed in all my involvement, is the need for us to actually get more human service agencies at the table. Working with this population in the last few years, I've really learned it takes a lot to build trust up with them. It's not just like, oh, go get help, for, reasons many of them perceived in their minds. They really believe everybody's against them, those type of things. So it takes a long time to engage them, trust them. But in all the time that I've gone to like the warming shelter, like there were not other agencies coming there, so,
Yeah.
we need to find a way to try to engage those as other people, into wanting to help these people. It took me a while to get people to talk to me, but once that started happening, it started to become a pretty regular flow of people. And, we have sent a number of them to treatment, not immediately, but they've come in dribs and drabs. And, right now I know there's one couple that's, both in treatment in a halfway house, another gentleman that I reunited with his family, 2 Family Promise, so, we chip away at those people. But I do think that that's a big part of this, is that we're going to offer some services up at Family Promise. I met with Kathy this week with our new case manager, who's focusing on preventing the next cycle of generation from the same thing in 30 years. I see people, when I went to that warming shelter, there was 30-year-old men that I saw toddling in my office as kids when their parents were here in treatment. And, I think that is a big piece of it, is that we need to also look at this, how do we prevent this from continuing on and on and on and on, because these people you're all talking about also have children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we heard yesterday, I met with there's a street outreach meeting that's held now. It's a peer collaborative group. They're all people that do street outreach throughout the COC. And it's the constant repetitive contact that seems to work. It's relationship building. It's having a person who it's their job or coordinates different people coming in to make contact. It's building trust. You have to look, and if you've never done anything on trauma, heard the term trauma-informed care,
Yes.
the folks, I know county officials, it's not something that, they teach in political science classes. It's a social work theory, but it's going in with that mindset. And knowing that these folks have had very often traumatic lives and things that have happened to them, and they're not going to easily trust anyone. And you can't look through the lens of things the way you would perceive it, as you would expect to respond if you were in their situation. I think that would be something that you have to put that aside, and it has to be someone its job. And they just said that sometimes it takes 50 contacts, and on that 51st time when they're about to give up, that person says, today I'll come with you. Today I'll be hooked up to services, So there are no easy answers. And the people that do that work, I just have the utmost respect for it, because I just don't think I would have the patience to do that. And another quick thing I wanted to mention, that we're doing something throughout the COC. We're piloting a program called Housing Problem Solving, and some of the COC coordinated entry sites received funding last year to have small amounts of money, so that when they encounter someone who is homeless or in danger of being homeless, that they can immediately solve a problem. A small problem with a small amount of money will keep them from being homeless. And it's being used in the Lehigh Valley. And they've reported yesterday that they've been buying things like bus tickets to reunite someone whose car broke down and they were stuck in the Lehigh Valley, and they were able to get them home, and after spending a couple months on the streets. So they were able to do a repair. They were able to pay an old utility bill, so someone could get into housing because they couldn't get into housing because they had an old utility bill. It's making sure someone gets to work and has the bus pass they need till they get their first paycheck. So they're targeting that, and we're seeing that as something that we want to expand on in the next year. So we want to see that money come to Carbon County as well. So when the request for proposals come out next year for that money to happen and be dispersed, I definitely want to make sure that everyone in this community is aware of it, and we get some of that money directly targeted to Carbon County.
That
Yeah.
would be great, Mary, because we do some eviction prevention. We do a lot of eviction prevention, and that, unfortunately, I refer, when people don't know where to go or how to handle an eviction, some of the casework, many of them I refer to poor Jana for help with that. But yeah, we get calls all the time. I don't have gas for work, and I'm stuck, and I've taken money out of my own pocket. You're not supposed to do that, but I've done that. I'm sure there's many people on here that have done that. But that's nice to know that there will be something for people struggling.
And I would like to just say something for everyone. I think it comes down to that human community connection. Like Jamie's saying, it takes time. People have been pushed off, and they're disheartened. They don't feel valued. They feel like everybody just wants them out of town. And so how do you get somebody like that to start contributing? It takes a lot of time. And I would encourage you to talk to our homeless people and get to know them. There are resources, but the resources are not abundant. It's hard. It really is hard. There's nowhere to sleep. And when encampments are bulldozed, people are sleeping under a bush, wondering, are they going to get picked up for being under that bush tonight? And what about all their possessions? It's a hard life, and so to have a place where people can come to just feel valued is huge. We've been offering something during the summer, just 3 days a week, totally funded by the community and by volunteers, just where people can come and get a shower, do laundry, get lunch, and have somebody who actually hears, wow, it was hard to find somewhere to sleep last night. Mark is one of the volunteers who runs that. And I mean, it's heartbreaking every day coming back feeling powerless, because yeah, we gave them lunch, but tonight, will they be arrested? Will they be in jail tomorrow? What are they going to do to get out of the cold this winter?
And I think we all certainly are aware of that and feel that. But, more to what Wayne was saying, there are people that I've reached out to that we've wanted to help time and time again, but they choose not to, and they choose to live in an encampment, and they really don't want the help. And I'm all for trauma informed care. I'm all for trauma informed care. In a previous life, I was a therapist and behavior specialist, and so I'm well aware of that. But there are certain people that there is no clear cut answer. It's not all. I don't want to sound heartless, but it's not all a mental illness. It's not all substance use disorder. It's a lifestyle choice. And
I understand you've had years of doing this, and I appreciate that, but I would beg to differ on that. I think they choose to live down that they don't want to live there. They choose to live down there because they're beaten down. They don't trust, quote unquote, the system anymore. They know that all these people in the agencies treat them as projects. They don't want to be down there. They don't want this life. I mean, I sit with them while we're having lunch. I hear their stories. I've been working with poverty alleviation. I've been working around it for 15 years. This is not new to me. And in various places up and down the East Coast. The ones that I think you're talking about, it's just gonna take a little bit longer. They have generations worth of history to know that the system's gonna fail them.
What are they asking for? When you talk to them, what are they asking for? What are their needs? Why don't they want to come forward?
They don't even know what their needs are yet, because they have been raised in with a poor perspective of community and themselves. They would like mental health, not because they're schizophrenic or manic depressive or anything like that. They want someone that they can trust and talk to, who actually sees them as a human being, to help them navigate why things keep going wrong for them. And who's gonna be patient when they get up and they storm out and say, this doesn't work.
And when they relapse
And when they relapse,
we have people who are coming, who are holding down a job for a little while, and then the wheels fall off and we find them drunk on the street again, comatose. That's going to happen. That's part of the process. And we have to walk with them through that. They're going to lose the job. They're going to get an apartment and
then lose the apartment.
evicted from the apartment because they need a bigger support system.
I would really, really, really like to see some supportive housing for them, someplace where they can lay their head down safe, where the teenagers aren't going to come down and rob them and beat them up. And so they can at least have some energy the next day to try again, to prepare a meal for themselves, to where, they're not just, getting a sandwich handed out to them that they may or may not even like. I mean, can you imagine the lack of dignity that they have, that they don't even get to choose what their meal is today? Every one of us on this call got up this morning and chose what we were going to have for breakfast. These people don't even have that dignity. And so not only is our community beating them down, but they beat themselves up because they're sitting there saying, I, and they need counselors to help them turn that around. I'm
And
62 years old, and I'm still working on trying to reprogram those cassette tapes that go through my head that from my upbringing. I can't even imagine the difficulty of reprogramming their tapes and that run through their heads after generations of this.
but it can be done.
It
It can.
absolutely
I have-
can be done.
I have a lady who came to me 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. She was beaten with a tent mallet at the encampment.
Yeah.
She came to us in active withdrawal from substance use. She had lost her children. She worked very, very hard. She's clean. She's sober. She got her children back. She's in her own apartment or her own house and with her family. And I'm happy to say that she is my AA. She works for me now.
Yeah, that's a great
So-
story. I've
So
se-
I'm going to interrupt here a little bit because something that I don't see on this committee, and I was going to mention it in an email afterwards, is I don't know if anyone here has lived experience of homelessness. And every committee of the COC, our board of directors, has people who have lived experience of homelessness. We do not generally hire people who are actively homeless because at the time it's just too much stress to be involved. We have a homeless action board for the Eastern COC that is several individuals who have been homeless in the last 7 years that give input on every policy and procedure we put in place. We have a youth action board, which is young people under the age of 25 who've been homeless and share their experiences. They presented at national and local conferences. There's a justice action component for the youth as well that we have some collaboration with. And I would highly recommend, if you're going to have a committee and a task force in Carbon County, that you recruit a person who can serve on this committee that has experienced homelessness in your county, has knows your services and has been homeless in the last 7 years. And also, if you do this as well, I can work on getting them if they are a person that's not employed and not doing it as part of their employment, we can work on getting them a stipend, because the folks that are homeless that serve on our committees, formerly homeless individuals, do receive a stipend for their time and are paid as well. It's not just like, thank you very much, or here's a pizza. Thanks for coming. So if anybody wants to discuss that, we have some folks on our staff that can assist with mentoring people who want to serve on committees as well. Happy to help with that, but I think would be a really integral part of your group and your planning and knowing what they experience, because they're going to bring to the table a perspective and tell you things about your county that you may not know. And I'm going to stop talking again because I talk way too much.
And Mary, things that
Mary,
you want to hear as well.
Mary, I was just going to say that the person that I was discussing, she usually attends these meetings. So she does have lived experience. I also have 3 other staff. Now, see, I always hire support staff when I can that have lived experience, and I certainly can invite them to our next meeting. because I think it's important to get everyone's perspective. Unfortunately, I have Kim right now doing something else because we're having a big fundraiser this Sunday, so she's kind of running around taking care of that.
I think that would
Is
be an awesome experience for your commissioners to come and meet your staff and maybe have just a conversation about their experience being homeless in Carbon County. That could give them some input that maybe would help them understand what's happening. And your commissioners are gonna like never let me drive through town ever. So
the commissioners have met Kim and they have heard her story. I think I think our commissioners should be applauded for being part of this and willing to participate and willing to, you know, brainstorm and come up with ideas and support. Certainly, I think they are an integral part of this. So, is there anything
I
else
see
we would?
hands up.
Whose hand is up? Oh, I'm
Hey,
sorry, Kim. Unmute yourself, dear.
Okay, sorry, Gina, jumping in here. I was waving all along. Just found the hand. Couldn't find it earlier. I'm going to be a bit of a devil's advocate. Although I agree more intensive case management and supportive housing is needed. I still continue to say, and I know I keep getting beat down because it's a long-term process, but unless we do something to access to housing, it's not going to matter. If housing isn't available, everything we do, it's not going to matter. And I think this committee has to start looking at that, even though it's a long-term process. I think we have to look at what can we start now as far as development or increasing the availability of housing. My apologies, I keep bringing it up.
Gina, and I want to answer that question, but I want Gina to go.
Thank you, and I apologize. I'm in my car driving, so I haven't been able to participate really. But Kim, I'm glad you went before me because I was going to say I think definitely long-term solutions is something that our group can talk about, and that's what's going to be needed long-term. But I wanted to pull out a couple action steps that in the short term we know that cold weather is ahead, and what I heard is that the group in Lehighton that you are in search of at least $5,000 to $6,000 to support the change of occupancy or finding another space to be. So I want to pull that out for the team and something I know I'll take back to my network and see what we can do. And Kathy, I heard from you that you're in search of funding for some cots. So I wasn't sure if there's anything else in the short term right now from now and, to our next meeting that we can work on as we're also, working on some long-term solutions too.
And let me just jump in because at the last homeless housing meeting, there was some great ideas tossed around. And here's one of the ideas that we thought may be some really good. And is Mary still on?
I'm here. I'm having a dog barking problem.
Okay. Mary, let me know if this would work out because this was a possible idea. And if it doesn't work out through the DCED, maybe we can point in some directions because one of the things when you hand out money, rents tend to go up because tenants aren't paying the cost. And if landlords and property managers find out that there are other entities, then costs can keep rising. So here was a thought, and I don't know if there's a grant out there, but I'm looking to, this is like an idea that definitely was bantered around. So if we can get a grant for dollars for landlords or property managers to do rehab, and if they have some dollars that they can tap into, but if they then take that money to do some of the rehab, they've got to keep the rents figure out the amount, X amount for Y amount of time. And that way, in its sense, it captures that they're invested in trying to make their property a little bit better, which in at least Lehighton, and maybe there's some other municipalities, but in Lehighton, they're trying to set a level of what the actual, apartments have got to meet a certain kind of code, in a sense, from Lehighton Borough in order for rental properties to be able to be established. So the thought is if we could kind of tap into some of these landlords, that if they were interested in some rehab dollars, but then in a sense, by taking the money, then they have to kind of venture into this joint effort of saying, okay, that means your rents are going to be, in a sense, this amount, and whatever the group decides is what is the correct amount, and for Y amount of time. That was one of the ideas, and we think that might be, I spoke to Lehighton Borough. They were at the meeting, and we kind of tossed it around, and he thought that might have some good leverage and some good pull on some of the landlords. But that was one of the ideas that we came up with, and it kind of hits all those different areas about trying to keep, and if we can come up with some dollars, real dollars, to be able to say this. Again, I'm trying to work it all, and I also want the not just the social service end of it, because when you talk about rental housing and housing, I want some major players in our area to also be involved who are in the job fields, the Giant, the Walmart, and see if we could try to get them involved in this, and then they become players, because we're not just touching the homeless population by doing this. We're touching a working class population, and that was kind of the thought process. So.
Rob, I think that in Schuylkill County, Dave Young from the Community Action there might be doing something similar. Let me check with him. He's on the board now. But I think he's done that. And I don't know if what funds he's using, but it may not be DCED funds. It may be fair. But let me see if I can find anything about that. But that would be great. Something that would obligate people to keep the rents affordable. And then I'm going to mention something. I know it's towards the end, but it's really, really important for you all to hear this. We're hearing stuff about the federal funding that's coming out is going to require MOUs with your local police department. And what they're saying is we're expecting when the large NOFA that we apply for all the counties, that local communities that get COC funding are going to have some MOU that they're working on homelessness issues and in conjunction with local police. So if you don't have a relationship with your local police department, start introducing yourself and building those relationships, because I think you're going to need in some point in the future some sort of agreement that you actually check in with them and get information from them about who's homeless in your community. I don't know if we have no idea what it's going to look like, but every indication in one small grant that was a runaway youth grant that was out about a month ago had a caveat that to get this money, you had to have an MOU with your local police department. So just flagging that the federal government now is looking at relationships with law enforcement, but we are seeing some communities like in Bethlehem, a woman named Carissa Cam works for the Bethlehem City, and she actually goes out and does ride-alongs with police as part of street outreach, and meets folks with the police and helps prevent law enforcement involvement. So I'm shutting up, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Did you want to say something?
Find my button. Okay. Is there anything else before we schedule next meeting?
I wanted to just clarify for Gina Nichols. We're looking for a facility to have the cold weather shelter. It's looking very, very unlikely at this point. We're going to do the initial application on the zoning, but we've been told that will be rejected. And that even going through the process and spending $5,000 to $6,000, the likelihood of us getting approved is very slim. So without community support, without a group like yourselves, this task force standing behind us and saying we need to do this, it looks very unlikely that we would be successful this winter. at having anything in Lehighton, which means the, 57 individuals we served last year would not have anywhere to go this year. And we've seen a growth in the number of people in the Lehighton area. So, that's just the reality. Money is always helpful, but what we need right now is a place to do this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. I'm gonna I'll put my email in the chat and maybe we can just stay in touch as you go through this. Thank you.
Grace, I've offered before to partner with the cold weather shelter in Lehighton. I've offered several times and I was turned down every time. We can certainly partner and pool resources and see what we can do. If you want to arrange a meeting with me, that would be great.
Fantastic. We would love that, Kathy. I'll send you an email.
All right. All right. Does anyone have anything else?
One quick thought I'd like to plant. If you ever let me come back to your meetings, would anyone here be interested in putting together some sort of like homelessness educational event, like resources, have me bring some speakers in? I'd be happy to collaborate. Maybe we could just get some folks from other areas to come in and share what they're doing and things that they're finding success with. We just need to find a venue that would be free or really low cost, and I could help coordinate that and put the staff time into putting it together.
Mary, we would love to do that with you. We're in the process of doing that already, but if you can accelerate it, awesome.
Okay. All right. Well, I will find your email in the email chain and send you guys an email. I'm the Eastern PA COC email address, but I can't type fast enough to get it in the chat. So
Mary, if you want to use our community resource center, if it's before November 1st that you want to pull this together, you certainly are welcome to that.
okay. I don't know if we could do it by November 1st. I don't think that might be a little optimistic, but I'd also like to talk to the folks of the United Way of the Poconos because they had some speakers and they did something really interesting. And then they also, you're never going to let me on this call again. Also, there was some.
No, we're not. You can't come in.
There's also some funding in that landlord funding that the United Way of the Poconos had that was, we talked about turning short-term rentals and Airbnbs back to long-term rentals, and there were some incentives to do that. So if anybody thinks that is a good idea, we're going to be writing a new fair grant, and I'd like to know if you think that would work in Carbon County, because I know in the downtown Jim Thorpe area, it's happening, and we are hearing that some landlords are really sick of dealing with Airbnb guests. So.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
Kathy, it's Beth.
Yes.
Do you want to make a motion for the minutes before we leave?
Oh,
before we end?
sorry.
That's okay.
It's Friday morning. I sent out a copy of the minutes. Can I have a motion to accept those minutes from our last meeting?
So
I
moved.
have a message from Kim
Mhm.
and
I'll second.
Second.
okay, anybody opposed? All right, great. I'm thinking, and don't hate me,
Oh, what
folks.
the hell did I do?
I don't know what the hell you did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am having a problem with my computer today.
Don't hate me, folks, but cold weather is right around the corner. I'd like to have another meet. Usually we're by, every other month, but I'm wondering if we could do a meeting in October. Any thoughts on that?
Fridays.
Okay.
I think it's the
I'm
fifth.
thinking
Would it be the
October.
fourth, what, would it be that fourth Friday like you normally do, or,
Third Friday.
That's
third-
Halloween.
oh, third Friday or whatever?
Yeah, let's do the
It's Friday.
24th. Is Brendan on?
I'm here.
Yeah, is the 24th? Can you send a link to me?
Yep.
We're gonna have to do it Zoom again, folks, because of the election. I assume office will be busy, but
Next week's
after
the
that, then
15th.
we'll go back to in person.
Yep.
Is that okay with everyone?
What day was that?
Say the third Friday.
The 24th.
That's the fourth Friday.
Oh, it's the fourth Friday. Okay, can we do the fourth Friday?
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but
I don't.
I don't have a problem, but I don't know how it fits everybody else's.
Providing nothing turns up, it's in our budget salary board issues and time, so as of now, we're okay.
Wayne, can you, or do you want me to reach out to the senator and Doyle and everyone?
It'd be better coming from you.
Okay,
I
can
would
do that.
recommend as well that our agencies and the people on the call would also contact their offices.
And could I
Squeaky wheel gets the oil, so unless enough people speak up.
Could I also ask that these meetings get put onto the Carbon County calendar? I had a really hard time finding out who was on the homeless task force and what the homeless task force was. It's not on the county website,
Yeah,
and the
it's-
meetings are not on the county website.
it-
It should be. Sure it is. Or actually, I didn't do one. But the minutes, I never said minutes.
Are they all on?
No.
The minutes are in YouTube. I mean, the meeting notes.
They also are streamed on Facebook.
Mhm. But
I
it
don't
would be
have
good to get the word out to people that these meetings are happening so people can participate.
Well, if we get it out to the we can't give them the invite to the public. But yes, we can. It's there that we are meeting.
Mhm. It is.
So it is live streamed right now. Yes,
It's live streamed. Yeah, it's live streamed right now.
it's live
it-
streamed right now.
Is it on the county calendar?
I can put it on the calendar for next time.
Yeah, because I didn't see it there and I didn't know who to contact to find out about the homeless task force.
and I dropped the ball. Sorry.
Well,
Chris.
Kathy, that's absolutely understandable. You're doing a lot. I was just thinking it's helpful to have that information there so that if people want to get involved, they know how to do it.
We can do that. All right, folks, thank you. And I'm going to make a shameless plug for Family Promise right now. We're doing a fundraiser. It's a motorcycle rally on Sunday. No, I'm not riding a motorcycle for those of you that question that. But it's also a family fun day, and there will be a basket raffle and food trucks and all of that. That's here in Esquihone. So, alrighty, any questions before we go? All right, take care, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
I know.
Bye. Have a good day.